In the Fuzzy Memories podcast, we celebrate the good, the rad, and the fugly of the 80s and 90s.
We're three latchkey kids who made it out alive.
And in each episode, we break down all the culture that popped, 1 year at a time.
Whether it's the birth of legends...
I'm Lyme disease free today, and I have Whitney Houston and MTV to thank. Or audacious moves.
Imagine also the poor Golden Gate Bridge. You turn 75 and people have a party on you.
Yep. I don't want that.
Or even confusing PSAs.
And the stop, drop, and roll. I mean, I assumed as an adult I would catch on fire weekly.
All the time!
We've got a take that will make you laugh.
We've also got thoughts on all sorts of random phenomena and the most unmitigated of golf.
Why sharks can't be trusted, people can't be trusted, and rivers can't be trusted. It's collusion.
It's of the highest degree.
Uh-huh.
You were counseling me to start my remarks with, first of all, bitch.
Everyone in that room would have snapped to attention.
It's going to be basically coffee lids, shark revenge, and then maybe like Matt Getz. God, we need to do something about him.
Join us every other Wednesday to celebrate the hits, the misses, and the misfits of the weirdest decades.
If I could tell my 14-year-old self from 1990 that I would be eating in a Cheesecake Factory in
Beverly Hills,
I'd be like, we did it. We did it, Joe.
We did it.
Listen and subscribe to Fuzzy Memories on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. Hello, and welcome to Broads and Books, the podcast with one unique theme, 4 handpicked book recommendations, and 2 broads. I'm Erin.
And I'm Amy, and this is episode number 24, Behind the Scenes.
This is a good one.
This is always
Oh, well,
we have
they're
good
always a
ones.
good one, yeah.
But this is a really good one.
This is fun.
Yeah.
So we picked picks that are all behind, the TV world, the movie world, behind the music.
Yes. Behind the curtain, if you will.
Oh, I like that.
Remove that curtain, look behind it. This is what we're giving you.
Yeah, not the Weird Wizard of Oz.
No, not that one.
Just
That's
some
creepy.
real good picks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good
Okay.
call. Yeah.
So thinking about that, about behind the scenes, whether it's TV, music, whatever. Erin, if you had a theme song to play when you entered a room, we've kind of danced around this idea in the past, we've mentioned lots of songs.
Yeah.
But if you had a theme song, your own personal theme song, when you walk into that room, what would it be?
All right. I had trouble picking between 2.
Oh.
And one partially because I'm just obsessed with this song right
Sure.
now. So
Okay.
right now, I feel like for me, my theme song would probably have to change. Like it'd be like every 6 months, it'd be a new one.
Sure.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, what's the theme song going to be? This,
Ooh, like
you
a big
know.
release party
Yeah,
too. Like,
yeah.
And
Like-
when you release it, do you just strut into a room?
Yes.
The best strut. And
And if people have to ask why, I'd be like, you clearly don't know me well enough.
Obviously, why
Yeah.
are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you have to ask why I picked this song,
Dumb. Yeah.
yeah.
Kick him out.
So right now, for these 6 months,
Sure.
it would have to be Truth Hurts by Lizzo.
Yes.
Mainly the part that I just want to play is the one line that's like, coulda had a bad bitch. I just want that line, like,
Absolutely.
yeah. She does this thing with her voice. It's like a
does,
little,
just
it's like,
a little.
what? Oh. Yeah, it's even worse. It's like you're getting dissed on a diss.
God.
I love
that is
it.
a fantastic
Right?
pick.
And it just makes me, like, it gets me in a headspace where I feel like,
Yeah.
I could take
Can you
on
also
anything.
wear like a sign or something that says 100% that bitch as you walk
Yeah.
in? Okay.
Best line in a song in
Ever.
a long time.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe not ever. But yeah, in a long time.
In a long time. Yeah. Yeah, I maybe not ever. So if I had an overreaching one besides
Sure.
that one,
Yeah.
it only because I would get so much joy out of people then singing it for so long and not being able to get out of their head.
Yeah.
Wake me up before you go.
A little wham action. I like
I
it.
kind of like the message. Look, it's possible I'm gonna fall asleep. I just need you to wake me up before you go. And then,
And also get your whatever you want to say, get it in
Yeah.
fast because I'm going to fall asleep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like out on the street, like, wake me up. And I'll be like, dang it, Erin.
Yes. Oh, then that means you just linger in someone's head.
Little brain
They
worm.
can't forget you ever. God, that's wonderful.
So that'd be the overarching one, but then I think there'd be a changing one.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay.
How about you? This had to be good.
Well, I kind of had two.
Okay.
The same reason. One is my ringtone constantly. It's "Bad Reputation" by Joan Jett. I don't give a damn about my reputation. Yeah. So anytime anyone calls me, first off, I never answer the phone. So I just listen to the ring. And I'm like, oh, little hit of Joan Jett. Yeah, I don't know who that number is. Even if I do, I'm not answering it.
So it's more like your phone just spontaneously gives you music.
Yeah.
And you pay no attention to
No.
what it's actually signaling.
Hell no.
I like it. Okay.
People that know me, they don't call me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer the damn phone.
I don't think in our entire history I've ever. Oh, no, wait. I think I did one time.
Yeah. I'm remembering one time.
But it was out of safety. Because you were in the car and I didn't want you to text me back.
Good point. Yeah. See?
It was out of my deep ride or die-ness.
Yes, and in that situation, I answered the phone. Did I not?
You did. You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that if I called you, you'd answer the
Oh,
phone.
I would. Yeah.
But I don't abuse
But I'd
that.
also be like, why are you calling
Yeah.
me?
That'd be. I hope that'd be your first question. Not even hello. Just why? Why did you?
Why are we doing this?
What happened?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Where's the
My
breakdown?
other song, though, Cherry Bomb by the Runaways.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah. I can
and now
see
I'm
that.
trying to remember any lyrics whatsoever, and they're just escaping my head.
Well,
but
that's just a good reason to go look it up.
exactly. I kind of like that idea. I like the,
Yeah.
the guitar riff. I just
Yes.
like you, just want to strut
Get
into
you.
a room.
It gets you in the right headspace to take on the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like that idea of, leaving it in people's heads
Yeah.
so they can't stop thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Think about what I bring to the table. Little Lizzo. That's what happened. Not anywhere close to Lizzo, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like this question had to be asked in this particular episode.
Sure.
Because I was going to ask if you could work like on a TV set, a movie set, or music set, what you would like to do. And then I was like, well, that's stupid. She's going to pick music because automatically she's going to think that equals David Bowie. So I just went down
Went
deep
real-
on that
okay.
question
Sure.
and said, if you had the opportunity to work on a previous David Bowie music tour,
Sure.
what job would you like?
I really like this question.
I figured
I'll be
you
honest. And if anyone hasn't heard some of the episodes in which I talk about David Bowie with the love that shall never die,
No.
and is really too much for any one person to hold, but he does, then you'll know that this is a great question.
It's
One
perfection
I am
for you.
so excited to answer. Really, the answer is any goddamn thing ever.
Okay.
But I thought of options. Like I could be, if we were in the 1970s, I could be his drug mule. I could bring his drugs in, because
Wow.
he
Wow,
was.
I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. Okay. All right.
My man did a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'll be your drug mule. I'll bring in your cocaine.
Okay. So
I will do that.
We could call it drug mule / enabler.
Exactly.
Okay.
Also, though, I could protect the microphone. Like I could put the microphone into a suitcase or something, or into like a special case, protect that thing with my life. I would carry it everywhere.
That feels like a movie in and of itself.
Yeah, I would put
watch.
it. I would sleep with it in my bed. I would this
Wow.
thing would be. First off, I'd name it, and there'd be
Obviously.
a whole thing there.
Yeah.
Really, it'd be a relationship for the ages. Me and that microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
The only other thing I thought of besides anything is, he had some costumes. I could be like his walking mannequin for costumes. I would wear your damn costumes, and you could make sure it looks okay. Do what you will.
Genius.
Yeah.
I like it.
So those were a few of the thoughts that came to my head.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. See, where I went right away for you was that you would definitely be somewhere close to the stage all the time so that you could hear the music.
Oh, of
But any
course.
of those jobs would allow you to do that.
Hell yeah.
I mean, maybe drug mule, maybe you're busy, but you could try and do it during off hours.
Well, I mean, drug mule, you just need to take a bathroom break to let the nature do what its will.
okay, so when you said drug mule, you didn't mean I'm just getting them. We're talking like you're gonna keister some drugs. All right, okay, all right.
That's how much I love David Bowie.
That is a love.
Yeah.
That is, wow. When I posed this question, nowhere ever in my imagination did I figure that we would end up here. I don't know how.
And you know what? I didn't think so either. But when I saw this question, I was like, that's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's the first job that came to your mind. You could do anything on David Bowie's tour. Right away, you went drugs. You know what I think, though? I think that was smart. It assigns you a certain level of importance right out of the gate.
Exactly. He needs me.
And you're going to get into all the secret meetings anywhere. Like, no closed doors for you. No, I need my drug mule. So
Yeah.
That might be genius. Incredibly illegal, but also very genius.
Well, yeah. Oh, boy. Okay, so, Erin, thinking about drug mules, thinking about all the things that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If you were a performer and you had a green room, think of the green room, think of all the things you want in there, your writer, when you go to perform. What's the weirdest thing you want in your green room?
Couple things. One,
A drug mule?
yes.
I'll be your drug mule too.
I want a drug mule just to say I have one. I don't intend on doing any drugs, and I just want that kind of power to be like, I want a drug mule, and then be like, I just joking. Yeah. And if I know which one of you is the rat that sold this story, because I don't actually do drugs, so somebody on this show. The other thing is that I think I'm a bit of a random person, and I also am I can get in ruts. So what I mean by that is, like, for example, the Truth Hurts song. I will listen to that 50 times in a row without abandon and not even worry about it, not even care.
Sure.
I do that sometimes with food. Like, I find one that I'm really addicted to for a period of time, and I eat it until I can't imagine ever seeing it again.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would have to be written into my contract that 10 minutes before I arrive, I will tell you what I want. So it won't be something necessarily weird that you can't get. It's just going to be a lot of rushing around at the last minute. And I understand for type A personalities, which I am, that's going to be a problem. But
you know what? There's going to be somebody that'll do that for you.
And you know what? That's the price you pay for my celebrity.
Exactly.
So if I decide at that moment that I want some peanut butter M&Ms, I guess you better hope your vending machine has them, or you better get going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can just pull the plug right then.
Right then.
Listen, I'm not going to your Madison Square Garden if you don't have freaking peanut butter M&Ms.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Only the green ones or the blue ones.
Right.
Or the,
I don't even care.
You don't
I'll
care.
eat all of them.
See, there you go.
I will say, if I'm in my peanut M&M phase, which I am sometimes, I'm going to need someone to look through the bag and find the weird one. Because there's a weird one in every peanut M&M bag. And it's that weird shape, and you bite it, you're hopeful, but it's always just weird chocolate. It doesn't even taste like the normal chocolate. And there's no peanut, and it is alarming.
It is. And the shape is always a little alarming as well.
Yeah, and if I'm famous and I have a lot of money, I don't need to be eating bad peanut M&Ms.
You got someone on your tour that's going to pick that M&M out and maybe eat it themselves or throw it to, you know,
I don't care what you do.
Fans.
You want to eat it?
Throw it out to the... Here you go.
Yes, I like that.
Instead of throwing a drumstick, throw the weird peanut M&M.
Because I like the idea that post, like, mortem, that all these places that I've been could compare and be like, well, what'd she ask you for? And they'd be like, Hawaiian Punch, and then she never drank it.
Yeah.
Kool-Aid coolers. And they just sat there. Like, what?
3D Doritos.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Pies.
Yeah, terrible, but kudos for getting them.
I mean, you could ask, and they would do it.
Just saying.
Whew. Wow, we really got drunk with power there, but also, revealed what we will do in our fandom. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, should we move to our picks by now? Okay.
Yeah.
This is
Probably enough about us.
Yeah, good times. All right.
We'll get to actual celebrities. Whatevs.
All right, for behind the scenes, I chose a fiction pick called Station 11
Ooh.
by Emily St. John Mandel, and this came out in 2014.
Okay.
Quickly, a flu pandemic decimates the world. I think we've done this a lot, actually. There's a lot of picks in which a flu pandemic
I was
kills
just going
the
to
world.
say, I feel like a lot of your picks have a pandemic
I
element.
really do. What is it about me and Armageddon?
I think you like to see what type of person survives. You
That's
like
a
to
good
put
point.
yourself in that
I really do.
mode. And you're
Yeah.
like, I could do that.
Well, you know who survives in this world? The performers.
Oh, that's
Not really.
Okay.
So 20 years later, after the pandemic, there is no real U.S. and Canada. There's no country lines. There's no big cities because 99% of the population is killed.
Oh my.
So Kirsten is part of a traveling group of performers and players. They play instruments, they put on shows, and they travel around the Great Lakes to all these small towns in horse-drawn carriages, stopping at these towns to put on shows. And the shows can be orchestra performances. It can be Shakespeare. A lot of people really want to see Shakespeare in this future world.
That's a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
At one point, they stop at a town where they left a couple of their players a few years back to have a baby and, start a life and all that kind of stuff. Right. But now the town is controlled by a prophet. So, just by the name, that's not a good thing.
No.
Really, Armageddon, there's a lot of people making themselves prophets. I don't know why. They move on to a town built in an old airport where it has a museum of all the artifacts of humanity in this airport. And throughout the book, we also see flashbacks to the old world, including an actor that Kirsten revered and actually got to work with as a child. So theme-wise, I chose this because it follows a band of performers on a very local level, and it gets into like the actual backstage planning and goals and all that kind of stuff, but also the idea of what performance is and what art is, what music is, what theater, TV, music, all that kind of stuff. The quote they keep saying is survival is insufficient. It's not enough to just live. You got to live, and you got to enjoy the things that we can do, the things that have happened in the past, the things that, you create now. Yeah. So it talks about how art, what that does for us as people, but how it also unites us, how it separates us. So it really gets into what that performance is all about. I found an interview with her that was really interesting, where she's talking about, we do this already, actually. She says that we play musical instruments at refugee camps. We put on plays in war zones. Immediately following the Second World War, there was a fashion show in Paris. There's something about art, I think, that can remind us of our humanity. It could remind us of our civilization. So that line became almost the thesis statement of the entire novel, which I thought was a really, really cool place to start from. And a thing I learned this week when I was researching, this is being turned into a show.
Oh.
It's going to be directed by Hiro Murai, who made that video, This Is America, by Childish Gambino, along with a few others. So it could be extremely interesting and visual and beautiful and everything it should be. So yeah, that's coming. But read this book first. It's really interesting. She structures it really well. There's a lot of flashbacks to our current world as well as the future world, and it's a very good read.
Sounds like a delight.
Yes.
I like that idea of kind of diving into why these things are important. It's easy to kind of make fun of it, or celebrities, you can get, or kind of shun it because of that side of it. But when you get down to it, there's so much actual importance in all of the art forms, whether that be TV, music, movies, actual art, those types of things.
And we all come to our favorite shows, our favorite music for different reasons, but we all come to it, like there is a reason that it exists and that we need it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my fiction pick this week, I've actually recommended another book by this author, but this book is called Daisy Jones and the Six.
Oh, I wondered if you would pick this. Yeah.
By Taylor Jenkins Reid. So the other book that I picked by her was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Which could have worked for this theme as well.
It could have. Yeah, it could have. We did that in the first episode. I have to admit right out of the gate, this was published in March of 2019. This is very different. I'm not going to lie that I missed Evelyn at first. I actually struggled with this book at first because I just loved her.
So
I did. Yeah. I loved that book, and I realized after I finished this book, and sometime after I finished this book, honestly, that I loved this book for a whole different reason. And so that's why I decided to recommend it. Because I don't want to take it. They're so different that it's not even, you almost surprised that it's the same author. So this book is written like an oral history, like a behind the scenes, VH1 behind the music. So you're getting interviews with different band members, like snippets, like what their take on it was. And then another paragraph, somebody else's take on it. So interesting. Structurally, I think could be very hard to pull off in a fiction setting, and you lose, immediately you're sucked in. Like you have to know, and you just keep going. Done brilliantly. So the title character, Daisy Jones, growing up in LA in the late 60s, and she's got this desire to make it big. She's kind of a free spirit, like not a lot of parental influence or control at home. So she's kind of free to do whatever. She starts out on the club scene, kind of, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever she wants to do. And at the same time, there's this rise of this band called The Six, who there's two brothers in it, some other people that they brought along the way. And both as these people are, the Daisy Jones and the Six are rising, they're kind of going up at the same time, but they're kind of both hitting plateaus. Like they can't quite get onto the big music scene. So this producer that's familiar with both of them has this idea to put Daisy Jones in the band The Six and kind of combine the two. And it's magic because Daisy Jones is magic. She's an amazing performer, amazing voice. But again, this is all behind the scenes of what's going on. And it's the story of the music. It's the story of the band members. And you feel at the end like, there's so many times during reading that I had to remind myself it wasn't a real band.
Wow.
That I couldn't go get the CD because I kept thinking, I want to hear that song. Then I was like, well, oh, yeah, that's not a thing. So that's how well done this is and how believable it is and how, much you can buy in. So it's unlike anything else you've ever read. I can almost guarantee that just because of the format and the structure. And it wasn't done lightly. I've read interviews with Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she very much researched that, did that specifically, and I think she pulled it off absolutely brilliantly.
And that'd be so hard to pull off on a long novel.
Yes.
You see that in interviews a lot, in like music magazines, movie magazines. Wow, that's really impressive.
It is. Yeah. And it doesn't take anything away. You know, sometimes unusual structure can backfire and it can be like, this is okay. I get it. Like, let's go back to a normal narrative. And you never have that feeling. You sort of just feel propelled to keep going, or, someone drops something in their interview and you're like, wait, what does that mean? And then, it doesn't come back up until sometime later. She did an excellent job of weaving the characters together and even the supporting people, their roles, and so much about relationships and how we treat the people we love and what does it mean to actually stand by someone. And it's so great.
That's so cool. It sounds like it could be based on some real bands too, like Janis Joplin and the Big Brother and the Holding Company, maybe even Fleetwood Mac, that kind of thing.
Yeah, she got a lot of questions about whether it was based on Fleetwood Mac. And she said, she can't promise that there wasn't some influence in the sense that she's done a lot of reading and research, but it isn't meant to be the story of Fleetwood Mac, thinly veiled as a fiction thing. That's not what she intended to do. It was just, she wrote a different story, but, maybe it hit some of the same as some real stories. But and I want to say that I had heard maybe this was going to be a movie or something.
I mean, especially with the music component, because then there would actually be music that could you could go out and buy that CD, Erin.
Yeah.
If you buy CDs.
Sure. Or the track, whatever.
Or, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the kids do these days.
However you get your music onto your phone through that cord.
This seems like kind of ready-made for something like that.
It is, and it got a lot of publicity, so you may have heard about it, but it's worth it. It was really fun. It was great. It was easy to read, and it kind of sticks with you. Yeah. It's just a fun story.
Very cool.
Yeah. I liked it a lot. Yeah. Yes. Now, if you've read both, be prepared. You're going to miss Evelyn, but you'll get over it. If you go into it and go, okay, this is a new book. This isn't fair. I can't Evelyn. I can't bring her into everything. Yeah. But man, that book was great too. So honestly,
I've been thinking a lot about that book actually because of our theme this week. Yes. Like, that would have been a perfect pick.
I know. But, I know. I did it in the first.
Yes.
Just got it
right
out
of the way. And then I read it and I agreed. It was delightful.
It was, wasn't it?
Yes.
So good.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got performance. We've got music.
Yeah.
I'm going to go music next.
Okay.
With nonfiction.
Okay.
And I've got a little confession because, David Bowie is my first and major love.
Right.
But I'm also super obsessed with Sleater-Kinney.
Okay.
The band Sleater-Kinney. And so my pick is Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl by Carrie Brownstein. This came out in 2015. It's a memoir. Sleater-Kinney is, if you are not familiar, it's a band formed in 1995 by Carrie Brownstein and Corin Tucker, who were both formerly members of other Riot Girl associated bands, and then they came together. And you may know Carrie Brownstein now mostly through acting. She's in Portlandia. She's in Transparent. She's been in a few movie roles. So you've seen her around. You know who Carrie Brownstein is. But this book is specifically about Sleater-Kinney and those first 10 years of their band. They themselves, they have this really distinctive sound. They have some amazing albums, but they stopped in 2006. And Carrie starts the book a little bit before that, like right at the point where she's realizing years of being on the road and struggling and pouring her entire self, her entire body into this music is taking its toll. And she just can't do it anymore. The book talks about her growth through the Pacific Northwest music scene, forming the band, the relationships they made. What's amazing is she is just a fantastic writer. I mean, she is because of the songs that she's written with Corin Tucker over the years, but writing in this long form, it's amazing. She's just beautifully just writes beautifully, has some really great moments throughout. It's this really personal story, but it's also this epic tale of this amazingly talented performer. And what's great is that this was just part of the story, because right around the time the memoir came out in 2015, Sleater-Kinney reunited, and they were putting out a new album. And in fact, they're putting out a new album here in a month or two.
Oh.
So they are back,
Get
baby. Yes.
Is that the name of the album?
Oh, that'd be terrible.
I know, but it was only
You
if
liked
you
it?
could say it and everything.
Back, baby.
Back, baby. I
That
feel
was
like
really weird. That was really weird.
I actually really liked it.
You liked it?
but
Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Great.
I think you should embrace it.
I'll do it? Okay,
Yeah.
great. Obviously, I chose this book because there's a lot of behind the scenes,
Yeah.
backstage stuff. And there's some really fun, like, run-ins with Eddie Vedder, the White Stripes. They, for many years, had a lot of opening bands that then went on to major acclaim, like the White Stripes. In fact, at the 2015 reunion show I saw in Omaha, they had Lizzo as their opener. And now, a few years later, Lizzo is badass.
She's killing
That's
it.
how I got to know her. So it's pretty
Wow.
cool. I also like this, though, because Carrie Brownstein gets into, like, what it means to be a fan, to, like, how she loves music so much, how much it meant to her, what it meant to her as sort of a young, confused girl. And she has this one section where, before she formed Sleater-Kinney, where she's just discovering Bikini Kill, which is this band that kind of started the Riot Girl scene, a women's punk band. And she says, "It was the first time someone put into words my sense of alienation, the feeling that all these institutions and stories we'd been taught to hold as sacred often had very little to do with my own lived experiences. Bikini Kill's music really gave me a form, a home, and a physicality to my teenage turmoil. It's hard to express how profound it is to have your experience broadcast back to you for the first time, how shocking it feels to be acknowledged." That, to me, talked just about what it feels like to love music so much and feel like it's yours, you know, that it really encapsulates something about you. And that's what I really love about this, is that she is such a fan of music as well at the same time she's performing the music. So yeah, I told you I love them so much. I've seen them multiple times. They're amazing. I have a massive crush on Carrie Brownstein. Let's just be honest.
Hey.
It's out there. And Carrie, if you're listening, that's my truth. That's my truth for you. Also, Carrie Brownstein herself is turning this into a show for Hulu, but making it into like a fictional, almost kind of like Daisy Jones and the Six, like making it into a woman that forms a band and then goes on. Yeah,
Awesome.
it sounds amazing.
I have a confession that I actually have this book on my shelf and I haven't read it yet. Like I have it. Yeah, I physically have it, but I need to dive
Guess what?
in.
When you read it, the music actually exists. So
That
you
would
can
be
go
great.
listen to
so
it.
I could actually fulfill that need.
Yes. Yes. And like I said, their new album is coming out soon, produced by St. Vincent. They put out a few songs already. Killer.
Really?
It's going to be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really important follow-up question.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Would you be a drug mule for Carrie Brownstein?
F yes. I was about to curse
I don't
something
know
that
if
we-
she does. I mean, I'm not trying to put anything out there that's what she's about. or
Hey, if you're
anything,
just
but
interested in trying drugs and you need a drug mule, yes,
Okay.
Carrie, I will do that for you.
it also kind of seems now like you might have some hookup that I don't know about.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I need a source to get
Yeah.
the drugs to then mule them.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't really think this through very well, but.
That could be a show. You tried to find drugs.
And all the hijinks I get up to as I'm finding my way.
I would watch
to
it.
drugs.
I would binge that.
Oh boy.
Well,
Okay.
options.
Look, I'm bearing my soul on this episode here.
know what?
You know?
I expected nothing less.
Yeah.
All right. My other pick is it's actually also an oral history, but a real one. Yeah. So it
Oh.
kind of mirrored.
Look at that.
I know. This is actually a book that I read. I read this book a long time ago, so I didn't read it because of this. But I read in an interview recently that Taylor Jenkins Reid actually used this book as kind of
Really?
inspiration and research. It's called Live from New York, The Complete Uncensored History of Saturday Night Live.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was published in 2002. So the only caveat I'll say right out of the gate is that you're getting, obviously, SNL to that point. So yes, I'm with everyone that's going to say it. I wish that they would put out another volume of the
Yes,
last
with
17 years
Andy
because
Samberg and all
yes, can you
the
imagine?
Kristen Wiig and
Yeah, because what's great about this book is it's the structure is the same as Daisy Jones and the Six. It's oral history. It's interviews with the people that were there, producers, actors, telling it from their point of view. So how each of them saw different decisions. Early on when the big execs at NBC were changing and how that had an effect on the show and the people that they picked to be on the show, how that felt to other people, how it felt early on to be a female and to fight to get some of the better sketches, how it felt to be a writer and not have a sketch get I mean, there's so much great behind the scenes, but it's told, within these people's in their own voice, their own words. It really makes it more powerful, I think, than if you were just like reading a history of it. It's thick. I mean, it's a thick book. Yeah. And I will say that it took me a long time to read it because I'd read some and then you kind of read something else, It's not like Daisy Jones and the Six where there's like a narrative that's pulling you through. It's really based just on the time period and they, kind of collected that way based on the years. So you could skip around probably, but it was interesting even as a person that maybe hasn't watched SNL from the beginning. I am a big SNL fan, and just a show like that, how iconic it is and how important it's been for both the comedy arena, for TV, for a lot of major actors and actresses.
So much, yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that Lorne Michaels has been there the whole time. Yeah.
And you see his name on a lot of other great shows, that these people go off and do spinoffs of their own thing. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's a behind the scene. It is... There's a lot of moments that you think, oh, geez, there's enough in there that you don't know, that you haven't heard about, especially because you're getting it from the direct, from their point of view, which is really interesting. Also, I think it's a great way to do a book like this because you don't have to really answer. You don't have to say this is the right story. You can just say, here's the stories around this one thing.
Right.
This is how all these people viewed it. And you can kind of figure out for yourself how you feel.
That's true. Yeah. Then you can't face any charges of making it into a story that's not there or something. Having them do their own
and I
voice.
like that because I think sometimes we don't do enough of that just in general. Like we are so set on having one line or one story or one narrative pull things that we get away from. Our perspectives are all so different that we're all going to see it differently. We all bring something so different to the table that it isn't always as simple as saying, well, this is what it is. Well, so because, female cast members had different feelings about the same time period that male cast members had feelings. Yeah. And that's not to say that one's right or wrong. It's just that's at that time, what they were experiencing personally. So.
Are you taking notes, by the way, so that we can write our own, oral history of the Broads and Books podcast?
Yes, obviously.
Okay, great.
The way I picture our oral history is that you and I will decide together on a fantastic writer, someone.
Yeah.
And then we'll just sit for days and they'll interview us and we'll say our feelings.
It'll be glorious.
And then they can figure out how to put it in a book and we'll make millions.
Oh, God. Instant bestseller.
Obviously.
Everyone's going to hear.
And the title will be How We Became Drug Mules.
The Broads and Books story.
Yeah. How a book podcast took such a left turn. How two nerds from Des Moines ended up in Colombia.
Started a whole empire of drug muling. Yeah.
How two broads bought Pablo Escobar's island.
Oh, yeah. That should be our goal.
If we're going to do it.
We got to do it.
I don't do anything half-ass. I commit. We're in.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Like if we're going to do it, go big or go home. Right. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I know.
Wow. I'm really excited both about the books that you mentioned, but also our plans for our own oral history. Yeah. That's wonderful. Okay. Pop culture wise, I picked a documentary kind of tied to what I just did.
Okay.
It's called The Punk Singer, and it's about the lead singer of Bikini Kill. Her name is Kathleen Hanna. And, just remember a few minutes ago when I mentioned them, they were sort of the impetus to Carrie Brownstein. So, we're on a theme here.
You brought
it's
it full
all
circle,
connected.
Which is why you're so good at this.
Yes. So Bikini Kill kind of kicked off the whole early 90s era of women's punk bands. And this whole movement of Riot Grrrl formed really because of them. And what this is this incredible, very intimate, inspiring documentary about Kathleen Hanna herself, her own like personal artistic journey, her health journey, because it turns into something else. She started as a spoken word poet, and then she found punk music, and she's like, nope, this is where I need to be, the punk music
I
scene.
feel like that's not a direct line.
I know.
So good for her.
And get this, she actually met, if any of you have ever heard of Kathy Acker, who was a writer in like the 70s and 80s, very visceral punk kind of stuff. It's real hard to get through, let's be honest.
Okay.
But she met she met Kathleen Hanna. And like before all this started, and Kathleen Hanna was saying she's a spoken word poet, and Kathy Acker's like, no, you should be a musician. Boom. She became a musician.
Kathy Acker.
Yes.
Way to get her off that dead end job opportunity.
Right. So, you know, you can listen to Bikini Kill's music and you can read about them. It's this entirely other thing to see the footage that this movie has. It's incredible. You see her, she's this tiny girl in like a school uniform and pigtails, but she has like slut written across her stomach. Or she's this girl bouncing around. She has this Valley Girl accent. When you listen to her talk, it's kind of hilarious because you're not expecting punk music to come out of this girl's mouth. But she's screaming into the microphone. So the documentary, it chronicles her time in Bikini Kill from 90 to about 96, and then her band La Tigra that was in the late 90s. But it also takes her through, for a while, she kind of disappeared and people didn't really know why. She had really late stage Lyme disease and it really knocked her out. So she had to take some breaks from music. She was just kind of off the scene for a while. And this documentary came out around the time she was finally like getting back to music, getting back to her life. Fun fact, she's married to Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys, so he features prominently in the documentary as well.
Interesting.
Wonderful. So why I chose this, you know, it is very much behind the scenes, and it's one person's story, but it's also this story of this entire band, this entire sort of movement that came from there. What that art that she created then meant to other people, both musicians. It interviews a lot of musicians, including the people from Sleater-Kinney, including other musicians at the time. How like creating music can expand and grow into this whole life of its own. At some point, she talks about how it was kind of hard for all these young women would come up to her at shows and relate their own stories of sexual abuse or things that, you know, she then sort of had to take on and become a listener, but then also like inspire them somehow to get past it. That's a lot to handle,
That is a lot.
for many, many years.
Especially when you're not a therapist. I mean, that's a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And at the same time, media was sort of merciless towards her because of the way she looked, because of her presentation, because of these groups of girls that came up after her. So it kind of goes through that as well, and the toll that took on her. But overall, it's you end up watching this and just seeing what a remarkable woman she is, what a remarkable musician. She's still out there. She's still making music. In fact, Bikini Kill is touring right now, and I just wait. I keep waiting for them to come somewhere near. It's like in New York and LA right now. I'm like, come on, there's a whole middle of the country. We need you.
Yeah.
So if I disappear for a while, it might be to go to like New York or something and follow them around.
Okay. I mean, I imagine you'd tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of said it like I would just show up and you're gone. I was like, okay. All right.
Wait, it's
bringing me back to the
time.
drug mule thing, but okay. I mean, that's fine.
Oh, I could tie the two together.
Yeah.
This will be how I get started.
Okay.
I'll go to New York, find some connections, hit a Bikini Kill show, come back.
Okay.
Start the empire.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Genius plan. I see no flaws. I see no flaws.
I really hope that in all my talking about drug muling, it does not dissuade you from any of the picks I've recommended.
No,
That's
in fact,
just
it
me.
makes it more interesting, in my opinion. Was she in? Didn't you recommend? Was there another book you recommended that they talked a little bit about her story? Was it
Yes.
the Riot? Girl
Yeah,
book?
it was the Girls to the Front.
Girls
the
to the
Riot Girl
Front.
story.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I definitely have talked about this before because it is such a rife sort of era. of music
No,
and
I
time.
just think it's interesting.
Yes.
Like, there's obviously a lot to be
There's
said.
a lot to be said,
yeah.
and this was this is a wonderful viewing.
What I'm thinking is that someone could set up like a punk girl band weekend for themselves. They could have Hunger Makes Me a Modern Girl, Girls to the Front, watch this
Yes.
documentary.
listen to lots of albums.
Yeah.
On the streaming services.
Yes. That the youth use.
That the youth use. Or some vinyl. Whatever you prefer.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like that idea. Punk weekend.
Punk weekend.
I'll even call into your punk weekend and give you my blessing.
Oh.
And maybe tell you where you can score some drugs.
Okay, well, you know, I feel like we might be crossing from drug mule into just dealer. Like, that's just straight dealing drugs. I mean, that's fine. I'm ride or die. I will support you. I mean,
what's funny is
we might need to market things a little differently.
I keep escalating this partly just to see the looks on your face.
I'm like, oh, all right. I mean,
each time you're just like, whoa, okay, so left field, how do I come back from this? You're doing great.
I mean, I just need a little warning. Just need to secure a few things, and then I'm fine with it.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, what Tom Cruise did in that movie, I can do it.
Sure. What Tom Cruise can do,
I
can
could
absolutely do.
Exactly. And I'm telling you right now, if I jumped on a couch and said I was in love with someone, it wouldn't be weird.
No.
People would be like, I like that.
And maybe that person would actually be in love with you and not being blackmailed.
Not me,
or
just
something.
held captive by Scientology people. Yikes.
Yeah. Whew. Okay, so on that note, what do you have?
Well, my pick this week, it's a TV series. It is called Feud, Joan Crawford and Bette Davis. It's put out by FX.
It's Ryan Murphy, isn't it?
Yeah. I was going to say it's by the powerhouse Ryan Murphy. So it's basically signed, sealed, delivered awesomeness because he made it.
Yeah.
It was released in March of 2017. And it's the story of the Whatever Happened to Baby Jane co-stars. So they're two of the most prolific actresses really in the history of Hollywood. But they had a very famous feud during the 1962, during the shooting of that movie. And so it's a docudrama. It really goes in depth into the feud. It goes into the actions of both of them. But also what I like about it is that it's more than just that. It also dives into a lot of the other obstacles that they faced as female powerhouses at that time. They both, and times that you want to say, why don't you team up together to fight this? Because they're both fighting it on their own. The ageism, sexism, misogyny, so many things that were keeping them at a certain level but also it does a great job of showing you that when you have, it's the genius of those isms in a way, because it keeps women from forming bonds to be able to rise up. Instead, they keep them competing and at each other's throats. And you get that feeling a lot from producers, from other people, that this was serving a purpose for them.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily something that they were actively trying to dissuade or not have. Played by Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon, so you can't get much better than that. It was fantastic. I cannot remember how many episodes it was because I watched it as it was coming out. I mean, you'd be able to binge it now. But it was just really well done.
Wow.
It's very fascinating. A lot of great information about the time. They stayed very true to, what they could find in research. You have so much sympathy and empathy for both of them at different points, and you hate both of them at different points. And just a really great behind the scenes look at, and probably things that still happen a lot today, but at, the dark side sometimes of being famous, being a celebrity, what that means, having that loneliness element, having that competition element where you don't really know if you can trust anyone. And then there's also just some great moments of horrible things that they did to each other that are kind of hilarious that, the way
especially
they thought
between
it out.
those two women. Yeah.
It was pretty interesting. So I had heard that he was going to do another season of Feud that was going to be called Charles and Diana. That was supposed to be, and then he renamed it Buckingham Palace because he wanted to go further into both camps and not just those two people. But then mysteriously it got scrapped, which
interesting.
I know just gives more fuel to those rumors of the Queen being able to just be like, nope. And so I've heard that not necessarily that the whole series feud is scrapped, just that one, but there hasn't really been any news about what it might be in its place.
Well, he's got 15 other shows going
right,
on too,
yeah.
So,
but I hope he does because it's such an interesting concept for a docudrama like that to get those kind of facts, and it's something I'm a sucker for that stuff. When
Yeah.
you think you know it from the media or the story that gets put out there, and then you actually learn some facts, and you're like, well, that was very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that he does, because he's so talented, and it was so entertaining.
Much. That show seems pretty timely too, as well as like you said, the forces that continually pit women against each other, and in Hollywood especially, seems like 2017 when pay discrimination was coming out, Me Too was coming out. It seems very, very timely.
And it's very interesting, these two women, because they represent two very different things, and which is why you kind of vacillate between your sympathy for both of them and being angry at both of them, because at different times you're like, you sympathize with Joan Crawford and say, oh, look, everything she dealt with to get to where she's at. And then she has this other woman that just walks in her mind, and hasn't paid the dues. But then you also have a lot of respect for Bette Davis, because you go, well, geez, you were like, you really tried to take down some of those thoughts, and without anyone backing you up, you ended up kind of being on an island of your own and blackballed in a way. And so, yeah, it really is an interesting ride.
I'd like to look inside Ryan Murphy's head, because
that guy just wakes up and spits out $1 million ideas.
Yes,
It's an idea factory.
We've recommended multiple of his throughout this. We've talked about the O.J. Simpson one. We talked about Pose.
Yeah.
And we never talked about American Horror Story, but even that, good Lord.
Glee. I mean, that was huge. He doesn't.
Idea factory, he is.
It's a little bit of a Midas. A little golden touch there on that guy, I gotta say. Which, good. Keep them coming, because your ideas are phenomenal.
And the people you bring in.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You're killing it. What is that guy's life like? Wow. Just like, hey, I'm working on this thing I'm doing all this research for now. It's pretty cool.
He has easy access to drug mules.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah. I mean,
if he partakes in such things. Or
we're not saying that you do.
We're not saying that you do.
Or that we have any inside information, because we don't.
We do
to
not.
be clear.
No.
But that kind of celebrity status, which
Yeah.
I imagine he has to have now.
Good Lord, yeah.
I mean,
I bet people are clamoring to work with him.
I would be excited to meet him. I'd be like, what's that next idea? You need some help?
Just like hanging around.
Yeah, just
his
like,
office. Hey, what's happening?
Amy will get you drugs. What? Want to listen to my theme song again? Wake me up before you go. He's like, who are these people?
Ooh, that should be the next feud, like George Michael and the other Wham dude.
Oh,
I forget his name, Andrew something.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had a feud, but we can make them have
Let's
a feud.
have it.
Yeah.
What would be some other good feuds?
Oh boy,
There'd be a lot, I feel like.
yeah.
So many good feuds.
And now I can't think of a single one.
I can't either.
Now that we're actually
But I
thinking
like
about it on
yeah.
air.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Hall & Oates. What about Hall & Oates? What? Yeah? You think?
Oh, yes. Hall & Oates. Let's hear that. That'll get them in.
Yes.
Do they have a feud?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So literally not a story. Just a big fat nothing. So we should probably work on our pitches before we meet Ryan Murphy.
probably should.
Okay. All right.
Maybe hone them a little more. Yep.
I was trying to think of other things, but
Got nothing.
I got nothing.
That's
I kept coming up with groups like NSYNC versus Backstreet. I don't know if they had a feud. Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer. Let's make
Yes.
we could come up with some stuff.
I mean, we could manufacture some
Tone and
feuds.
Loke. Did Tone have a problem with Loke? I'm just kidding. I think that's one person.
Ooh, an internal feud.
With
Just
himself. The Tone part of me hates the Loke.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think we should maybe hone our pitches a little bit
fine.
more before we,
Right.
head over to
work on
Ryan
it.
Murphy's. But yeah. In the meantime, we'll just keep entertaining
Yeah.
all of you listening to us.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll come up with some other ideas, but the good news is either way, we'll be back next week with better picks on feuds and really good book picks. I don't know why I said better picks. Like, these were bad. These were great. So if you were thinking they were bad, well, all right.
Remember our discussion on cannibalism.
Yeah.
And just,
Leg separation. Just saying. Amy is perfectly willing to give up her fast-held beliefs to take you down. In the meantime, though, you can head to our website, To check out all the recommendations we made in this episode, that would be www.broadsandbooks.com.
Don't forget that HTTP.
On the interwebs. It has an S because it's secure, okay?
It does.
We're not trying to steal your information.
Exactly. On that HTTPS.
We
have other
/
material. We have lots of other material, too.
Yes.
Bonus material. We have a road trip piece. We have... What's wrong with... I think we finally reached the point we can't pull it back together. We can't. I am out. Anyway, there's some good bonus material on the website. And if you like listening to us and listening to us break and Erin can't get her shit together, you can tell us that in your podcast player. Give us a rating. Yes. Give us a review. Tell us how much you love when Erin cannot get herself together, or when I talk about drug muling. I mean, there's so much to like, really.
There's so much fertile ground in this episode.
There really is. And also you can find, I'm covering some of your lines.
That's great. Because I'm out here in left field
just couldn't get it together, so I'm covering. Okay.
Oh, that's a good partner right there.
Also, we want to hear your theme ideas.
Yes.
We have done multiple episodes based on listener suggestions. Why do I keep saying
readers
readers?
too?
You know what? Yes, reader
listeners
suggestions.
and readers.
Yes. Get in touch with us. We would love to hear your idea.
And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like we mentioned, we have a website. It's easy.
HTTPS.
TTP. All right.
And because we've reached our point where we can no longer function, happy reading.
I'm up again. Same night, another dream. Before trying this recording thing, I didn't remember much of anything of these dreams. I didn't remember much from any of the women. And one night of doing this, and it's broken things open. The dreams they're in me, and they're coming out of me, and...
Talk to me. I am not broken. I am the most whole, most real.
Cause their despair. I wait for the word. Witch.
Look at the mad woman in her cage. She was a woman with holes inside her. That was the heaviest factor, the final evidence, the heart of the issue.
Somehow, you understand this. You hear me. Wherever you are, whatever this is, you... This isn't a dream journal anymore. It's not. It's just fact. Because now this is some sort of record. What are these dreams? Maybe there's a better question. Who are these women? Weird Woman is a Broads and Books production. All 9 episodes are available January 10th. Listen and subscribe to Weird Woman on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. That's WYRD Woman, wherever you listen to podcasts.